Successful Indie Author 5-Minute Focus, episode 93, Who to Trust with Your Prose. This is a hard question because a lot of authors struggle with input. They get differing, they get varying, they get competing input, and they don't know who to trust. First and foremost, I like readers in my sub-genre, those that very specific targeted audience for the story that I wrote. Now, if I'm not sure what genre I wrote, well, then I'm going to have some problems. I need some input, and I canvas the various genres until I find something that seems to mesh a little better than what I originally expected or intended. Let the readers decide that this is this genre, and then you can focus your marketing and your marketing campaigns and better target readers that look like ones that like your story. So readers in the subgenre, you publish your book, you're getting a lot of bad reviews. Is it a bad book, or is it in the wrong genre? If you know that it's in the right genre and you're only thinking, hey, maybe it's not urban fantasy, when you know really very well it is. This is where you have to be honest with yourself. Put on your business hat, be honest, and say maybe it's not a good book. And that's the readers in the subgenre. The reviews are telling you something that maybe you should listen to. If you're absolutely sure deep down inside, yes, that's the right genre. And then you have to be honest with yourself and say, what do I do now? Go forward, write a better book next time. Authors, successful or not, authors are a different animal when it comes to reading your books, because they may have a vested interest in this genre. A little subterfuge like, oh, hey, that book's not any good, because they don't want you competing with their books. That would be rare. Really, it's authors read with a jaundiced view toward the world because they read it through their prism as an author. It's rare that you'll find an author say, oh my God, you write so much better than I do. Yes, please. This is a great book. It's a great story from me as a reader. And I would take that input with much more relevance than just an author say, oh, yeah, it's okay. It wasn't horrible. I've heard that input, and that's a different look at the world. But authors, I'm not a big fan of having other authors review my work, just because they're not my target audience. My nonfiction, yes. Am I getting my message across? And I have rewritten my Successful Indie Author series a number of different times, have updated and changed, and make sure that I was getting the message cleanly to my target audience there, because it's authors. So that's a different story. If you're talking fiction, now you've got to relate to the readers. Family and friends, not my first choice, because are they readers in your genre, or are they just doing it because they like you or your family? Editors. Now, which editors do you listen to? And this is where I've had diametrically opposed opinions from editors. You need to do this. And then one say, you need to do this. And they were diametrically opposed. So you've got to have, hey, here's what I want to do. Here's what I like to do. And find an editor that's more in line with that. Now, if you're going through editors because they're not aligning with you, then maybe it's you. As McCoy said on Star Trek, if an Earth girl says it's her, not you, well, it's definitely you. So this is where you've got to be honest with yourself. If you're running through editors, it's not the editor's problem. Usually, out of 3 editors, you're going to find 2 that are pretty good and mesh with you. Now, if you're getting them at a bargain basement price, that's a different story. But if you're paying a reasonable rate, I'm saying 2 out of 3 are going to be fairly close in their input. And the word perfectionist is a kiss of death for me, because people say, well, I'm a perfectionist. Well, you don't know what perfect is. Perfect is the book that sells to the most readers, if you ask me. So in my mind, 50 Shades of Grey is a perfect book. It sold 125 million copies. So perfect for the readers. Don't look at it and say, oh my God, this writing is horrible. Doesn't matter. You don't matter. What matters is the readers spoke. They voted with their money. So who do you trust? Them. When person says they're a perfectionist for them, you have to be able to accept the work that you publish. You can't just throw something out there and say, well, hey, I'm going to make money off it, so what? I don't care. Yeah, you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have invested the time to write it in the first place. So you have to accept it. But there's also how much time are you going to invest for that last 1% of make sure all these words are exactly perfectly arranged? How much time are you going to invest for that 1% that the readers probably won't even notice? if you've gotten the other 99% and it's not right. Like your first chapter isn't good and it doesn't draw them in, and readers are telling you, and you're like, but I've got this perfect ending. You're fixating on the wrong thing. And that's why perfectionists, good enoughists. Yeah, I'll go with that. You want to be a good enoughist. Business interests. Hey, if you pay me, I will. You have to look at, are they making their money off you or for you? An editor who is looking at a long-term relationship, they're making money for you, even though, yes, you're paying them. So look at the business interests. Hey, your cover is great. Let's advertise your book on, we've got 50,000 Twitter followers. We've got what? Stop it. If somebody advertises like that to you, don't take them. You should be able to go find people that are successful, businesses that are successful. So ignore business interests unless you know for certain that they're making their money for you. So readers first and foremost. In your subgenre, you have to be honest with yourself about what is working, about what your book is. And you can't just say, well, I'm going to throw mud at the wall and try this genre, then I'm going to try this genre. It's probably your book. Fix it up, clean it up. This is indie world. You can do that. You're in charge. You're in control. Or you can keep a book out there that's not selling and the readers don't like. And yes, that's your choice. It's the indie world. But if you want to realize value from your words, make sure that the right words and that the people who are the most inclined to pay you money for those words are the ones you're listening to. So trust the readers in your subgenre first and foremost, and then the editors who also edit that genre and are working with you. All right, everybody, have a great day. Oh man, 7 minutes.